everyone, and it is officially fall. And with fall comes fall television shows, primarily in the superhero category. And on September 22nd, yeah, I think that was Monday, Gotham premiered on Fox, which is the kind of pre-Batman origin story and whatever. And along with that comes a whole bunch of superhero TV shows. Flash and Arrow in October, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was also in September, I believe, but if I'm wrong, I'll go ahead and say that I'm wrong. So I decided to do a segment called First Impression Fridays that'll go up every Friday, and basically it'll be my first impressions and thoughts on something. Because Gotham aired on Monday, I have just been able to record it today. I have all of my notes here on my handy dandy iPhone 5, not 6 because apparently they bend. And I'm just gonna go ahead and pull those up, and I'll be going through with that. Let's see. I can't even find my notes. So here, I don't know if you can see it or read it, but as I was watching the premiere, I went ahead and put all my notes here, and it's pretty interesting. First and foremost, I'm going to talk about how Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman, I mean, that was really heavy-handed. I thought her little introduction was really cute, I thought it was well done, but the only part that rubbed me the wrong way was how they basically shoehorned Selena into the murder of Bruce's parents. And basically she was there to witness the murder out of chance, and it just felt like it was a bit too much, especially since in the comics, Selena and Bruce didn't meet until well after Bruce left and became Batman and went through all of his extensive training. So to see her kind of play a part in something as integral and so crucial as the murder of the Waynes, it didn't sit right with me. The kid who plays Bruce is amazing in my opinion. I think he did a great job. To see kind of his progression throughout the episode, throughout the premiere, was really awesome. To kind of see him be this fragile, broken little boy who lost his parents, and then towards the end he's just kind of almost numb from the experience and a lot more hardened. And in terms of hardened characters, let's go ahead and talk about Alfred, because I thought Alfred was also portrayed very well. They decided to go with the rougher, tougher version of Alfred, which I personally enjoy. He's not always this prissy, proper, you know, butler, but in some adaptations, he's had military training, he was part of MI6, just a lot of crazy things, and it kind of makes sense, especially in this universe, to see Alfred be a little bit more rough with Bruce, and I think it's good to have an adaptation of that form of Alfred, because we don't usually get to see that in television or in any kind of incarnation of Alfred, really. I think the closest that they've done to that was Beware the Batman, in which Alfred was a gun-toting butler. I'm really excited to see how they decide to use Bruce and Alfred. Even if they do or don't, maybe we'll just see them in the premiere, and that's that. Gotham isn't about Bruce and Alfred, it's about James Gordon. In this story, he is a war hero, which I don't mind, I suppose. I enjoy Gordon being kind of an everyman's man. Not super, I'm gonna kick your ass because I was in the military and this is where the action is. Sure, Gordon was a hardened kind of police. He's kind of been through it all, and he goes to Gotham, and I love his moral compass in the show. You know, he constantly wants to do the right thing, in stark contrast to the very corrupt nature of the characters. And you can especially see that in the characterization of Harvey Bullock, who is his partner. Bullock is a corrupt detective who's basically, he knows how the Gotham Police Department works and what it's like dealing with some of the most notorious villains and crime bosses. Although Gordon and Bullock are hesitant partners, they really don't want anything to do with one another. You can kind of see Bullock want the best for Gordon. You kind of see Bullock want the best for Gordon, especially since Gordon is new to Gotham. It felt like a lot of the villains were just kind of forced into the first episode, especially with the inclusion of Edward Nygma, who is more formally known as the Riddler. We had Oswald Cobblepot, who's the Penguin. We had Selena Kyle show up. We had Ivy Pepper, who will eventually become Poison Ivy. We had Fish Mooney. We had Carmine Falcone. We had a lot of villains in this episode, so I can understand why for some viewers it was a little bit difficult to process or to swallow because there's a lot going on. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about dialogue, if I'm just gonna go ahead and go on that tangent. The show had some very awkward dialogue. More notably, there was one line in particular that just literally had me laughing out loud just because of how absurd it sounded. Gordon and Bullock were having a disagreement, and for some reason, the writers thought it would be natural for James Gordon to say, "You are a cynic, oh god, like the line was terrible. I have to look it up. You're a slovenly, lackadaisical cynic." It's as if he pulled out a thesaurus and was like, okay, how am I gonna make Bullock hurt? I'm gonna hit him with thesaurus words. Although sometimes in comics dialogue sometimes doesn't seem to flow, television is a very different medium, and with lines like that are very consistent, like they just constantly pop up, it becomes a little bit absurd and it takes away from the realistic noir feel of the show. On that note, there were a few moments that really sparkled, and in my opinion, it was in the beginning of the show, after Bruce's parents had died. James Gordon comes up to him and they have this dialogue between one another, and then Alfred shows up. And as Alfred takes Bruce over, to take him home, he says, "Never let them see you cry." And that was one of my favorite lines in the episode, just because of how impactful it was to not only Bruce's character, but Alfred's character. Bruce is no longer going to be a kid who cries, he cannot be a normal rich kid anymore. A lot of moments of awkward dialogue, there were some really great moments, and it wasn't only Alfred's dialogue, there were some great moments between Fish Mooney and Cobblepot. Cobblepot had some great moments. I got an email. Overall, in terms of my first impressions, it felt like there was a lot going on. There were a lot of villains introduced, but given, I don't know, I feel like it would have been better handled if they had slowly introduced each potential villain. I'm not ready to give up on the show just yet. It's a pilot, and in terms of a pilot, I thought they did a good job. Usually pilots are very hard to handle in terms of, well-known properties, and especially when you're trying to, expand the demographic. We're not only just targeting comic geeks like me, but they're also trying to target people who watch Fox before, Hell's Kitchen and stuff like that. So overall, I'm gonna go ahead and give the show a chance, and I think you should too. If you have Xfinity or, any kind of subscription service like that, you can go ahead and catch the premiere online, or I'm sure they're playing reruns this week. I will definitely be watching next week's episode. If you want to see another, kind of brief review of next week's episode, definitely let me know in the comments below. Who knows, I can make it a regular thing, because Batman. I cannot wait to continue with First Impression Fridays. They won't always be TV shows. That's it for me. So, as always, peace out, Sailor Scouts, and I will see you in the next video.